Elsa from Welcome Home Cooking School, and I'm happy to have you join me in my kitchen this morning. It is a very cold February morning, still very much winter here in Western North Carolina, but I'm going to teach you how to make a dessert that will taste like spring. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to turn on this hot plate and get this heat going, and we're going to start off with whole milk and cream. Going to use a cup of whole milk, and we're going to just be heating this and bringing it up to a simmer. Going to add a half a cup of cream, and then I've washed 3 lemons really well, and we're going to use a lot of zest, because what we're going to do is we're going to take these lemons and we're going to zest them and add the zest to the cream and the milk that we have here in the pot, and we're going to infuse this milk with a lot of delicious lemon flavor. You only want to go around one time, get all the zest, but you don't want to get any of this pith underneath because that's really bitter. The recipe calls for 3 tablespoons, and this is going to be just about 3 tablespoons. I'm not going to take the time to bother to measure whether we really have 3 tablespoons or not. It doesn't matter. We're just using this zest to infuse our milk and our cream with a lot of great lemon flavor. I'm going to just add all of this wonderful fresh zest right in to the milk and the cream. Now, all I want to do here is bring this milk and this cream to a simmer, and that will take probably just couple of minutes. We don't want it to boil. And as soon as we get this to the simmer that we're looking for, then I will take it off the heat and I will cover it with a lid and just let it sit for 15 minutes, and it will infuse all that great lemon flavor, which we will then use to make our pudding cakes. Okay, so it will go from a simmer to a boil really quickly, so you need to take it immediately off your heat as soon as you get it to a simmer. And then we're going to set it here, and I'm going to put the lid on it, and we're going to just let it sit for about 15 minutes, and then we'll be ready to go from there. Okay, it's been 15 minutes, and our lemon zest is infusing in our milk. While this is happening, I've also turned on our oven. We've got that set at 325 with our rack in the middle. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take out this milk and we're going to strain it through a very fine mesh sieve. See how this is going, so that the zest does not go through. Okay, but we're going to pour this in here. We don't want this zest in our pudding cake because we want this pudding to just be silky smooth, but we wanted all the flavor from the zest, so that's why we've done this whole step. I'm going to make sure that we get all of this out of here. Now we're ready to mix our dry ingredients. We're going to start off with 1/4 of a cup of just all-purpose flour. Be sure and fluff up your flour and then spoon it into your measuring cup rather than taking your measuring cup and dipping it in that way. This way you will get a better, more accurate measurement. Okay, and then just use the back side of a knife to scrape it across the top. So we're going to start off with 1/4 of a cup of flour in this bowl. Then we're going to add a cup of sugar to the flour. We're going to add some baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and just 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. And we'll mix these things up here in this bowl. So we've whisked our dry ingredients. We're going to set those aside. And I'm going to juice all of these lemons that I zested. Okay, so I've already juiced a few of these. Press on this to get all the juice out. We need 1/2 cup of juice. So I will measure this once I get the juice here. Now we're going to separate our eggs because we're going to use the whites and the yolks separately. So in there. Now then I'm going to take our dry ingredients here. We're going to add our lemon juice to the to our ingredients. We're going to add our milk that has our egg yolks in it. And then we need some vanilla, half a teaspoon of vanilla. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our egg whites and we're going to whisk these up until we have a nice fluffy meringue with our egg whites. Okay, so now we're going to take our egg whites. We're just going to take a few of them to start with, and I'm going to go ahead and whisk these first into our mixture. And now then we're going to take the rest of the egg whites and we're going to just fold them in. I'm going to put them in here. These egg whites are going to be what will give us some volume with our little cakes. And all I'll do is just gently fold them in. I don't want to whisk all of that volume out because we want to have that lift for our cakes. So this part you have to just work a little gently and be patient as you try to work all those egg whites in. Okay, now we are going to take our cake batter and we're going to make little individual lemon pudding cakes by putting them in these little ramekins. These are great for a lot of different recipes. I use these to make creme brulee. I use them for a hot molten lava cake. I use them for chicken pot pies, for little cobblers. You can use them for all kinds of things. They're inexpensive, they're fun to have. If you don't have these and you still want to make this recipe, you can make it with just a square pan or square dish, maybe even an oval dish would work fine too. This is a recipe from Cooks Illustrated, and the recipe says that you can use a pan like this. I have not tried it this way, but if they say you can do it, I'm sure you can. The recipes are always foolproof. So we're gonna try this today though in our little ramekins. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just take our batter and I'm going to fill these little dishes up, almost to the top. And you want to space them out in the pan so that you have room to pour your water in here. Okay, now, when you're pouring your water in, be really careful. You don't want to pour water in your cakes. So you're just pouring the water in the bottom of this oven roasting pan. You want to come up about a third of the way on each of the ramekins, okay? And then these are going to cook or bake in the oven at 325 for about 50 to 55 minutes. So it's kind of a slow baking process. So I'm going to put these in the oven and then we will come back when they're ready to take out. Okay, so I've just taken these out of the oven. They cooked for 55 minutes. They're not really browned. A couple of them are just starting to get a little bit of a brown spot on them, but I think they're ready to go. Now they'll sit here in this water bath for 10 minutes and then I will move them from the water bath to a rack and they'll sit here and continue to cool down to a room temperature, and then they'll be ready for us to try them. Now we have our cakes, they're ready. They've cooled down to a room temperature, and I'm just going to take powdered sugar and I'm just going to sprinkle this right over the top of each one of them. Now we're going to see what this cake looks like, why it's called a pudding cake. The top has a layer of cake, but the bottom has liquid. It's pudding. It's on the bottom. It's beautiful. So if you enjoyed this video, I hope that you will check me out over on Welcome Home Cooking School. That's my website. I have a blog post there with lots of recipes. You can also follow me on Facebook at Welcome Home Cooking School and on Instagram at Welcome Home Cooking School. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you next time.